one for science.
Okay.
Yeah. So a really good project that I did back in high school was a group greenhouse project, where basically your group chooses like a type of plant or maybe plants from a certain climate or whatever, and you have to actually go to the greenhouse and plant these plants and, you know, realize how to do it, how much to water them, what kind of soil they need, what kind of spacing they need, all this stuff. So this would activate visual spatial intelligence, bodily kinesthetic intelligence because you're going out there and doing it, interpersonal and intrapersonal, naturalistic, logical, mathematical, as well as verbal linguistic because of the journaling that would, and reflection that would then happen afterwards. So I guess I would
Is that
add
all of them?
that's everything except for musical.
If you sang to the plants?
Yeah.
There we go.
Just add that one.
And I think the key thing about all of your examples is these are rich activities. That's a key part of his philosophy, that you're not just sitting down and doing some rote memory activity. You're letting the students interact with something that, an experience that is broad. That's one of his key points to do with all these intelligences. It's not to get bogged down in any like definition or anything like that. It's mostly just to remember that there's a breadth of intelligence and ways of communicating information. Does anybody have an English or literature one we can put up there? It's Zara.
I put recreate a scene from like Shakespeare's Hamlet. So each group will get a scene and they'll act it out. And I put that down for bodily kinesthetic, just because they would be moving around and acting.
So how could you maybe enhance this activity to incorporate something like, well, verbal linguistic, that would probably happen naturally throughout creating the scene, but what's something that they could do before or after that might work towards like interpersonal or, interpersonal?
Oh, well, just one would have to listen to one another and one another's ideas as to how to like set up your scene and things like that. And then even like problem solving, just like a team effort within your group as like who wants to do what part.
Sure.
That would be another thing.
And what is unique about Shakespeare's writing, the way you speak in Shakespeare's writing?
Oh, it's what is it, verbal linguistics? It's just just
A little bit deeper. Iambic pentameter is
okay, yeah, of course, yeah.
the meter of Shakespeare. It brings a more logical mathematical element that you don't always get in performance because of the way it moves. If you know somebody has a very logical sort of mind, you can point that out to them so that they can have a deeper connection to the art.
Any other ones?
Well, if you're watching the play, that's going to be visual.
Yeah, they could watch the play first and
And
then.
you could also, like, if they're each doing a scene, have one of the scenes from, like, Laurence Olivier's version, is like the famous Hollywood version.
And there's more modern ones,
Yeah.
like there's one with Ethan Hawke where he does the soliloquy walking through a blockbuster. It's awesome. It's really good. If you really want to watch some Hamilton.
I think you guys can see too, the beauty, like, through this activity is that even, like, we've come up with ideas, we'll start with one idea, like Zara just came up with recreating a play. And to her, that was only one of them, and, like, look how we've just expanded it into, how many do we have? 5. So it's really easy to start with an idea and then, push yourself to think a little farther of how can you target that one student with musical intelligence, or how can I work to incorporate a more naturalistic intelligence into this one idea that I have. Anyone else have any other ones they want to share?
I think we did good.
Yeah, really good.
And you notice that these are activities that everybody can work together on. It's not like there's like an IEP in here. It's not like we sat down and we're like, oh, well, I have to do this for Jimmy. Jimmy needs this lesson. It's more just we let everybody interact with the lesson however works best for them.
All right, well, then closing up. Are there any questions that anyone still has about Corner? Are you guys feeling a little better about incorporating the different intelligences and finding ways to activate them?
Does anybody have any questions about the handout? The front has a little bit more than what we actually talked about, just because his mountain of research is kind of out of hand, and we didn't want to waste time going over everything. Some of his newer work is focusing on his 5 frames of mind, which is actually really interesting, and it more looks at the way students look at problems, not just the intelligences they use to solve them. And he puts a premium on the synthesizing mind, especially moving forward into the future